it did 30 years ago, with many pending developments in the city's development pipeline not being processed in a timely manner. Why is this happening, and what will you do to turn this around?
Thanks very much, Catherine. That's a very good question, but I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize my predecessor. Is in the audience today, former Mayor Diane Terry, and for Diane Terry. When it comes to housing, what we need to do is to start building housing from the broad perspective of the full continuum, whether it's from rental housing through to $2 million homes and everything in between. Because when you have a healthy housing sector, you continue to have movement all through the various groupings within the broad parameters of that sector. So every time we build a home, we can help individuals experiencing homelessness, because that frees up space. That's very important. And one of the things I talked about during the campaign is a concept called Service Peterborough. And within our staff right now, we're working very hard to get that implemented, so we expedite approvals as quickly as possible and put a renewed emphasis on customer service for every resident of Peterborough.
Yes, thank you. From the county perspective, I think a lot in the room don't realize how much that we have on the go in the county. There's 3,800 homes, units in the county that have passed through our planning department and are set to go. We have another 1,200 units that are in the preliminary stage, 150 individual severances, and I would be amiss if I didn't mention the fact that all of our municipalities have a secondary unit policy once our OP is through, meaning that if you have a home, you can build a secondary unit. And so we are trying in the county, along with the city, as Mayor Leal said, it'll be diverse. There are a mix of rentals, of individual units. So just trying to strategize and put as many on the market as we can. Thank you.
I think when we talk about the housing situation that we're in right now, we have to also take a look at what has happened historically. And if we look at what the projections were just 13 years ago, we were expected to have Ontario grow to a certain size by 2051. What we're seeing for growth in Ontario now, we'll hit that number of people, that population, by 2040, 11 years sooner than what was anticipated just a decade and a bit ago. We have to constantly then be looking at what are we doing and how can we make sure that the planning that we're doing today is going to be the planning that's going to be effective tomorrow, and have to make adjustments for it. When I was first elected in 2018, the average home price was $314,000. This past month, it was around $600,000. That's not sustainable. Well, the entry-level home is costing a first-time home buyer $210,000 as the family income just to get in. We can't continue down that way. So we have to take that look again and make our plan based on what today's information is, and not just rely on what information was a decade ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think it's probably one of the biggest issues we see. And to build on what everyone has said here in terms of what Jeff has said in particular, the housing continuum, you still need multi-million-dollar houses. You still need every type of house to be able to be built in order to open up opportunities for people to be able to buy housing, supply and demand, right? The reality is that you can't build. There are so many people ready and willing to build a house right now, and there's roadblock after roadblock. I recently interviewed the head of CMHC in committee, and CMHC is not meeting their targets. It's, you know, the running joke is that it's a place to take a project to die, right? Like people aren't being able to get what they need. They're ready to build, you have contractors, you have people ready to do the work to put the houses up, but it's just not, the red tape and the gatekeepers are there that it's just, you can't get it done. So we've got to streamline that process and make sure that we're removing a lot of those issues.